Hey, folks, and welcome to the Long Time Thoughts podcast. My name is Sam, and I'm glad to have you. Hopefully, you've been enjoying the previous videos, and let's get this one started. I do want to cover a few things. One of the things I do want to cover and start with actually is something I've talked about in previous videos. Is the violence that's going on here in America, and really all over the world. But I think really here in America is where we should concentrate. And this is where I'm from. This is where I know we can actually make changes, and I'd love to see some changes made. And the like I said, one of the things I've been talking about is how we have just kids wilding out on the streets, just doing crazy stuff, and nobody's really being held responsible because we have laws in America. Kids are charged as minors. Some states, no matter what the crime is, don't allow kids to be charged as adults. Some states do allow it, which is great. But again, even in those situations, it has to be quite the crime, usually murder or something like really, really bad of that sort. And it's really unfortunate because it's kind of a slap in the wrist. Yes, I know some kids go to kind of I guess some they get in trouble, right? If they don't go to jail, they'll go to juvie. They may get some kind of ticket, maybe something on their record, but generally a slap on the wrist. And unfortunately, that's not something that will stop kids, especially teenagers, from continuing to do crazy things, cause ruckus, just potentially ruin people's lives, potentially ruin their own lives, just because they're doing stupid things. Excuse me. So the thing that has come out, here in New Jersey, I'm in New York. New Jersey's one state over, but one of the things that came out is a law that's gonna potentially put parents now in prison for their kids' bad behavior. And parents are outraged. I get it, but it is our job as parents. Me as a parent, I feel it's my responsibility to teach my kids, what they have to do to grow up. And if for some reason they're not doing that, it's up to me to control them. And if I cannot manage to do that, then I have to make some tough choices. I could send them to boot camp. Could of course do the scared straight stuff, but I have options at least. I can't just take a step back and say, hey, they're kids. They're, one of them's 15 now, 16. They're doing their own thing. I can't control them when they're out of the house. I mean, that is true, but it's also my job to educate them, to teach them how to do things the right way. How to respect society, how to respect the people around them, respect things that aren't, property that's not theirs, respect other people, respect other properties. I'm not a religious dude at all, but this kind of goes back to the Ten Commandments, which out of all the things that came out of religion, probably was one of my favorites, just because the things it teaches you are kind of right, and they're important, and these are things we should learn, at least as kids. Once we grow up, once we, go out on our own, whatever age that may be, I know nowadays it's different. Some people stay in their parents' house until their mid-20s, late 20s, some people even later. But once you're out on your own, you can do whatever you want. But once, while you're living under my roof, it should be my rules. You have to respect the same things I respect. And I respect generally most laws. I don't respect every law, especially when it comes to driving. I definitely break the law more often than I should. Speeding, sometimes running red stop signs, sometimes running red lights. If it's late at night, I know there's no cameras, and I don't want to just stand at that light. But again, I still am very careful with these things, and I also understand the consequences, and I will take full responsibility for my actions. Now, kids are not held to the same regard. They're not held up to the same esteem because, like I said, here in America, a lot of states just give kids a slap on the wrist. They'll send them to juvie in the worst case scenario. For the most part, they have to commit really heinous crimes, and that's not even in every state that they'll be punished as an adult. But New Jersey has now created this law, passed in late July, called Minors and Parent Responsibility, and it stipulates parents will be held accountable for public disturbances caused by their child and could go to jail for 3 months if the kids are found guilty of multiple offenses. Now, again, this isn't a law that's saying, hey, your kid does one bad thing and you're going straight to jail. No, that's not what it says at all. It says your kids continue to be a menace, they continue to break the law, they continue to do stupid shit. Yeah, we're gonna send you to jail, and I don't see anything wrong with that. I don't know why parents would be up in arms about this. The only reason I could see anybody actually being up in arms about this law is because you're a terrible parent. Let's just face it. I mean, if you're not willing to take responsibility for your own children, you're not willing to take the first time to get arrested, or I would imagine they have to get arrested for this to even become an offense and get to the point where you will go to jail after multiple offenses. Yeah, I mean, you have juveniles offenses that fall under new law, 28 total: disorderly person, immorality, destruction of playground equipment, loitering, joining in likes of assault, mugging, drunkenness, and drug dealing. Yeah, man, nothing wrong with that. And as you can see, the caretaker could face up to 90 days in prison and or a fine of up to 2K. I think this is a great law. I think this should be implemented in a lot of places. Make parents responsible for what your children are doing. I mean, we have to, at some point, just stop the continued destruction of our cities. And if we don't want to blame the parents and we don't really want to punish the kids, how are you going to do that? How are these kids going to learn? If the parents don't want to take responsibility and do what needs to be done, again, we have options. Send them to boot camp. Punish them. Take away shit. We take stuff away from our kids if they do something wrong. We punish them. Does that mean they'll never do something bad again? Of course not. But if they want to get whatever it is I provide back, you gotta listen. You gotta behave, right? You know what I mean? Or I'm happy to help you pack your bags. See you later, I'll call the boot camp. I'll place you in the boot camp. But I will take some sort of action. I'm not just going to sit idly by on my ass saying it's not my problem. I'm not responsible. I am 100% responsible. My wife is 100% responsible. We are parents. Somebody has to be somebody has to be held accountable, and I love this. Again, maybe the law is not the greatest in terms of how it's written. Maybe not everything should be in that law that they have in that law, but generally speaking, I love this. I hope to see it become something that spreads and is really a thing that America can just kind of grasp and implement all over the country. We have to stop our youth from becoming violent, lazy, ignorant, and just useless to society. I mean, that's basically what it is. I'm not saying every kid who gets in trouble when they're young is going to grow up to be a criminal, a druggie, a drug dealer. Drug dealer is basically a criminal, right? It is a criminal, not even basically. But I'm just saying, we have to save our youth. And how do you save your youth? You have to either educate them or you got to punish them. And since we're not really punishing them, we have to start educating them, and that education starts at home. This is amazing. I love this. I honestly don't care that the parents here are complaining. We don't like it. We don't want it. How can I control my child when he's out and about? Well, figure it out. If you can't do that, don't have kids, or again, send them to boot camp. Do something. You can't just throw your hands up and say, "Hey, I had the kid. I fed him. I dressed him. I send him to school. Maybe sometimes. What else do you want from me? You're responsible for that kid. As long as he lives in your house, as long as you gave birth to him, or as long as you're a legal guardian, you are responsible for that kid. And it's about damn time that people who are responsible are going to be held accountable. I love this. I'd love to hear, some feedback, what you guys think. But to me, this is great. Now, I think that's really all I can say about this. Otherwise I'm just beating a dead horse here. So I do want to move on to some other things. I have some tabs here, but before I get to those tabs, I do want to discuss some of the things that are going on in our country. We have our president has sent more troops into Washington D.C. to help rid the city of crime. Now, I know Washington D.C. has, they say the stats claim that crime has been going down. Washington D.C. is now in at least the second straight year of getting safer, less gun violence, but it's still one of the most violent cities in America. Do they need help? Yes. Does Chicago need help? Yes. There's many places in America that need help. Is sending in the National Guard, the FBI, the right thing to do? That's a tough one. I know me. I'm not a big fan of Trump and some of the things he does, or a lot of things he does. But I don't know. I don't like what he did in LA when he just sent the National Guard into LA, the ICE agents into LA to help with the ICE raids. I was not a fan of that. This I can understand if the police force, the local police force, isn't doing it. If the politicians, the mayor, whoever is not doing their job. I don't necessarily hate this. It depends how they go about it. Now, I saw a video, and you've been reading some stories. You have people just sitting on their stoop, on their porch, whatever it may be, just smoking a cigarette, and then you have 5 dudes roll up on them. What are you doing outside? What are you smoking? What is that? Blah 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 blah. And that seems a little aggressive to me. You know what I mean? It's like if people are on their own property, don't tread on them, as they say. I think that's a little ridiculous. I did see a video. These dudes are just sitting on their stoop, having a cigarette. The dude immediately says, "Oh, you're smoking marijuana," or he smelled marijuana smoke, and that wasn't the case. And he backed off immediately. But it's just that could lead to a lot of confrontations, a lot of things that just could go wrong. So the aggressiveness of it may be a little too much. Kind of a mixed bag for me. Like I said, I do want, of course, our country and the crime in our country to be kind of, brought back a little. It escalated, especially since the pandemic. During the pandemic and slightly after the pandemic, crime just went crazy all over America. We got to reel it in a little bit. And some states, some cities just have a history of violence always. Chicago, one of them. Washington D.C., one of them. So I don't really hate this. I just hope that they do it the right way. If they do continue to stick around in Washington D.C., the FBI, the National Guard, everybody else they sent in, and it was I believe maybe up to 4 different organizations that went in to try to quell the crime rate. So we'll see how that goes. But again, all I hope is is it doesn't lead to more violence. That's the first thing I hope for, and I think the best way for that not to happen is as long as these people are not aggressive towards the citizens. You know, I know, in theory, it's an idea, it's a good idea, but you also have to still continue to respect people and their privacy. Not everybody's a criminal. You can't just do what Tom Holman, who's the head of ICE, does, and just say, oh, if you're brown, you're a suspect. I hope that's not just the way these guys are looking at it. They're not looking for a particular type of color. They're not looking for a particular type of person. They're out there just to not only make their presence felt, which I believe is just kind of common sense when you have a whole bunch of people out and about that are there to or have the ability to arrest you, shoot you legally. You're gonna stay out of their way. You're not gonna be doing stuff in front of them. But just don't push it. Don't make it an aggressive push. You can clean the streets up, and you can do it calmly. You can do it with respect, and I hope that's what they do. So I wanted to mention that. I also want to mention that Trump is meeting with Putin on Friday. I'm taping this late Wednesday. It's probably going to go up Thursday morning. I'm guessing people will see it, if not later. But speaking, let's say we're on a Wednesday here, so in 2 days, Trump is meeting with Putin in Alaska. Zelensky supposedly was going to go. Now it doesn't seem like he's going to go, but there's nobody else there. Excuse me. And to me, this just feels like a show. It just just feels like this dude Trump just keeps getting played by Putin. I don't know what it is with Putin. I don't know what it is with Israel and Netanyahu, but they just seem to have something over this guy, man. He just bends a knee to them. He will, he gave Putin 50 days, then he gave him, I think, like 10 days or whatever it was. And what does he do? Absolutely nothing. Who does he sanction? He sanctions India. Russia continues to do their thing. No sanctions, no nothing. They're going to have another meeting on Friday. In my opinion, it's just a joke, right? I hope obviously something great comes out of it, something good even. I'll take something good at this point, something positive. But it just feels like this is like a horse and pony show, just where Putin just keeps kind of dragging this dude along, telling him what he wants to hear, but doing the complete opposite of what he's saying he's for. You know what I mean? Why would you not invite the other nations? Why would you not have other representatives there from other countries? Why would you not have Zelensky there? This is the dude he's fighting with. This guy is willing and able to make peace, wants to be there, wants to, discuss things. Meanwhile, every time Putin, kind of whispers sweet nothings in Trump's ear, well, he, at the same time, sends more drones, more rockets into Ukraine. So to me, it's ridiculous. I think, again, this is just going to be silly. And maybe just another distraction from the Epstein list, trying to get away from that. Hey, look at me. The day the war I was going to fix in one day, which then became like a joke, which he claims was a joke. I could never do that in one day. But it's now been 8 months, whatever it's been. No progress. It's getting worse. It seems like. He's probably bent over Ukraine more than he's actually done anything with Russia in a negative light. So we'll see how it goes. Again, I hope for the best, but I am expecting the worst. Now, that's all I'm going to talk about in terms of politics today. Moving on, me and my son went to see Weapons yesterday. Now, this is a movie, as you can see, what 94%. This is a horror movie. Now, I went in, I'll be honest with you, thinking this is based on a true story. So I didn't even think it's horror because, based on a true story, how can it be horror? That's not really something that we see. I think The Conjuring is like really the only movie that's actually based supposedly on a true story that is horror. So to me, I thought this was just like a suspense thriller. Um, but again, I'm gonna actually do some spoilers here. So if you guys don't want to hear the spoilers, please look away for the next maybe 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes. Once I go to the next tab, or just fast forward to the next tab, whatever floats your boat. But I am going to do some spoilers here. So, watching this movie, thinking that it's based on a true story, I kind of really hated her. She's the teacher. It's her class. She comes in. She has 18 students in the class, I believe, if I'm not wrong. 17 of them are missing that day. Just one kid is there. He's sitting there as she walks in, and the whole investigation begins. The movie starts off with a voiceover, a kid saying this is based on a true story. One night all these 17 kids at the same exact time all disappeared. The reason we know that is because we have, this is modern days, so the reason we know is we saw the ring cameras, the alarms got tripped, blah, 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 so they see what time exactly it happened. It was like 2:17 in the morning. All these kids just bounced out of the house with no trace in sight. And they're doing a whole investigation, and you're seeing a lot of her, and she is honestly very, very annoying. I hated her. And then Josh Brolin, who plays one of the fathers, he's also, you get a little peek at him, but not much. And that goes on with her for probably a good 30-40 minutes. We're in the movie theater, I'm not checking the time, but it felt like a long time with her. Like I said, I was really kind of getting annoyed with her. I did not like her as a character initially, but then the way the movie does it is it's kind of divided into, I believe, five different parts, where it's basically the point of view of each person in that town. And so the first person is her. The next person is Josh Brolin, who plays the father. Then we have the principal. She's also hooks up with a cop, who I guess they're exes, but he's also engaged to somebody or something of that sort. So you get the view of the cop. You get the view of this kind of thief who's like a kid, a teenager really, not a kid. You get his point of view as well. You get the point of view of the principal of the school, and then you get the point of view of the last kid who's left in that class at the end. And basically what happens is you see exactly what's happening from their point of view. The movie's crazy, a lot of scares in it, a lot of weird stuff going on. I really thought it was a weird movie. At the end, my son actually told me this is not based on a true story. Once I found that out, this actually made this movie so much better. I actually thought it's a really good movie. Had I known that it's not actually based on a true story going in, I would have enjoyed this movie way more. So I do want to give it another watch. But even with that, even with me kind of hating her, the movie being weird throughout, it still comes together so well at the end. Just the scares are great. The villain is great. The story is really good, just different. Something I haven't seen necessarily done this way. And really cool movie. I really suggest it. Watching it. I was telling my son, just like with any movie, there were a few plot holes, but not enough for me to not like this movie. 94, 87. It's kind of hard again for me to rate this movie without watching it again, knowing it's not based on a true story. But even then, I had actually um, watched some videos from some dudes on YouTube, and one of the guys said, he thought the movie was good. He didn't like the ending. I completely disagree. I thought the ending was pretty good, kind of fun. We were in a packed theater. This was yesterday, and I think the random Tuesday night here in Brooklyn, late at night. I think well, not late at night, but we went to like the 9:50 show or whatever it was. And for the theater to be packed just tells you just how popular this movie is and how exciting it is, or excited people are to see it. Definitely worth seeing it. If you like horror, if you don't mind a few scares, it definitely has that. She becomes not so hateable at the end. Even again, this is with me not knowing until after the movie. I still at the end found her not that bad. Some really awesome, just horror scenes, just scary scenes, just weird scenes, and the way they make it come together. Great job. Some people say this is the same dude that did Barbarian, Zach Kreger. Same dude that did Barbarian. Another cool movie. I thought Barbarian was not as good as this. I thought Barbarian was good, not great, slightly above mid. This was good. This was a really solid movie. It's got scares in it. The story is solid. The way they put everything together, you see it from everybody's angle. That's relevant, basically. And it's a unique villain. And it's pretty good. Again, I don't want to give too many spoilers, but you have like a random clown showing up, random jump scares, just like everybody's running, as you can see in the picture, like this, with their hands out. Everybody who's kind of basically not good. And that's explained in the movie, of course. But yeah, give this a watch if you're a horror fan. I know my son mentioned today that people are already proclaiming this as the best horror film of 25. I told him we'll never know. We're not going to watch every horror film out there, but yeah, this will probably be up there. Again, there's probably some other good horror movies coming out. What else is coming out? I think the last Conjuring is coming out. We saw a preview for that. That looked pretty good. Black Phone 2 is coming out, which I also, again, thought was based on a true story. It wasn't, but that looks crazy. That looks like it's going to be a hackathon, jump scare galore. So, and Five Nights at Freddy 2 is coming out, he told me. So yeah, I mean, it's gonna probably have a good run for its money, but I could see this one, if not being the best horror movie of the year, being pretty close. Very well done, I gotta say. And our experience, like I said, it's a full theater. We had a baby in the theater, which when we walk in, you hear the baby like who wants this? Who needs this? But the baby was actually very good. It only made noise before the movie started, during the previews a little bit, and then some random part in the movie which wasn't really even like important in any which way, but otherwise pretty quiet baby. So good job by those parents. Even though I'm not a fan of taking babies to movies, at least not kid movies. And then the audience themselves. Sometimes you go to a horror movie, or just any random movie, and just the audience is just loud or obnoxious, and just not really at the right moments. I don't mind the audience being into the movie, but man, I gotta say, our audience was at it at all the right moments. I actually started getting a little loud, and my son did not like that. I feel like he might have been ready to walk out of the theater. So I left it alone, but I had to kind of tease him once or twice, because I saw how agitated he was getting, which it's like, come on, bro, live your life, dude. Um, but yeah, definitely recommend this movie. I'm actually excited to watch it again, with the knowledge that it's not based on a true story, and just just much clearer attitude. It won't be as weird for me, just because as coming in, thinking that it's based on a true story, some of the parts are weird, right? It's like the same problem I had with Black Phone when I thought that was based on a true story. It's like, I mean, come on, like I, this is a little much. The only movie, and he told me I think they might have done it on purpose. I know in the movie, when the movie begins, like I said, there's a girl narrating it, just for the beginning, and she says this is based on a true story, but that doesn't work for every movie. That works for Blair Witch Project. I thought, when I went into Blair Witch Project before the internet, and I know we have the internet here, I didn't do too much research on this. I just see based on a true story somewhere. I'm like, all right, cool. But back then, I didn't do any kind of research on Blair Witch Project at all. I went in actually thinking that was hidden footage. Um, that was awesome. That was a movie I wish was actually based on a true story, because that made that movie awesome. One of my all-time favorites, just because of that. Because the first time I saw it, I thought it was based on a true story, and oh man, did that movie really like live up to that, found footage greatness. Not the case here, but that's okay. Really good movie. Again, I'm 94, 87, maybe a little high, but for a horror movie, this is amazing. I think. Let's see what IMDb has it at, because IMDb usually has very low ratings for comedies and horror. 7.98. Yeah, I'd probably give it a little higher, maybe like a 8.3, 8.5, something like that. But you know, not much else I can say. Definitely worth checking out. A pretty good movie. Um, Enjoy. All I can say is enjoy. Sit back. You're probably gonna, especially if you're at home, especially if you're a screamer, you're probably gonna scream a little. Um, and there's nothing wrong with that. This movie deserves it. It really does. Moving on. So there's, I know I did my last two videos were album related, and they keep dropping. They honestly keep dropping, and I don't hate it. I honestly don't hate it. I feel it's been a long time since like artists I at least have dropped albums. It's at least in this type of fashion, just one after another. Like they're just coming at me. They're giving me good music. I can't get enough. Well, I'm getting enough now. Sorry, I'm just looking over here. So JID, God Does Like Ugly, released an album. Surprise to me. This is August 8th, a few days ago. The 14th now. And I got my notes here as I usually do. It's 15 tracks. You have, I believe, one interlude. Yeah, one interlude here. And honestly, this was fire. I don't know how many JID fans are there. I'm sure a lot of you know JID as the ones that do know JID as a rapper who raps fast. He's kind of like a Twista type, but lyrically gifted, of course. And he is not that guy on this album. I mean, he still does that, but he switches his style. He does some regular rapping, regular, just regular speed, normal, I guess what you would call normal speed. He's got some solid features here. West Side Gun, who, like I told you guys, I'm not a fan. He sounds too much like Ghostface to me. That voice, which is not my favorite. JID and Clips here. We got Ben Staples, Yara Earthgang, Don Toliver, Ty Dollar, Black. Right? This is Black, right, guys? Then Jesse Reyes, who I learned some kind of Spanish singer. Baby Kia, who's a horror rapper. Mariba, still don't know who that is. And Pastor Troy, a blast from the past. So solid features here. He didn't go crazy with the names. He's a big Eminem dude. He doesn't have Eminem on here, but pretty solid. So what I can say is, honestly, yeah, You Ugly with West Side Gun, solid track, with West Side on it. Again, for me to say that, even with West Side on it, it's got to be solid, right? But Community, which is the Clips one, Work, G's, really good tracks. Those were my favorites. Glory itself wasn't bad, but yeah, I mean, to just have 4 out of 5 bangers at least. Again, Glory, not terrible. I thought 4 of the 5 were bangers here. Definitely, getting thumbs up on my Pandora. Something you guys should listen to. VCRs by Vince Staples. Kind of, this is not terrible. I don't want to say it's terrible, but to me it was a little weak. And then you have Skate, with Ciara and Earth Gang, and I didn't know what to think of this. It's got Ciara in it, right? It's like she's singing. When it started off, I was like already kind of like, eh. But you know what? This is a great barbecue song. It's really, I could see, myself being at a barbecue blasting that song. This is a fun little song. Beat is fun. Great for an outside summer barbecue. Definitely worth it. Then it kind of got a little worse. What we on with Don Toliver, I thought was terrible. The beat was terrible. Don Toliver's just not my guy. It's not a great mix. This is song number 8, like the first one I hated. So you can already tell that this is already a very solid album. Just because how many albums these days go seven deep and are still like good. Very few, right? I mean, I know we did the Clips recently. I like the Wu-Tang and the Raekwon albums as well, but still, to go 7 deep with basically everything being at minimum good, that's hard to find. But yeah, so what we did, Don Oliver, again, the beat, just the mix, not my style. I thought it was really terrible. The next few were pretty not great. Wholehearted, JID, again, I'm a hater of Ty Dolla $ign, Black as a singer, I believe. R&B guy, again, not my style, just wasn't really feeling it. Then you have the interlude, and then the Baby Kia on McAfee, solid. Baby Kia is a horror rapper, sometimes very hard to understand. He's got that like deep, like kind of grimy voice, but no, solid. I enjoyed it. And let's see, and K-Word featuring Pastor Troy. K-Word is for Karma. Gonna spoil it for you. Again, another solid song. Just Pastor Troy isn't necessarily featured on it as much as he is a feature. But yeah, overall, what a surprisingly solid album. I wanted to hate it just because JID is a guy who I could listen to a few songs and that's it. It's like I need a break. I just don't think I've ever gone consecutively on like 10 JID songs or even 5 JID songs, and I'm just like, oh man, give me more. But man, I gotta say, this was surprisingly good. I gave this album about a 8.2, 8.3. I mean, this is good work. I am pleasantly surprised. This is one of the better albums out there right now. If you're a fan of hip hop, fan of rap, guys, give this a listen. This was really, really tight. I mean, just surprisingly solid work. Yeah, that is it for me. Um, as always, I want to give you I want to give you a news of the day, or a link of the day, I guess. Now, how did I do this? You see, like, I done messed up, man. How did I done messed up? There we go. Link of the day is this pretty funny article I found that some men in Japan try to use curry spices as a weapon in a robbery attempt. Got arrested for assault. I mean, this headline speaks for itself. This is what it is. The suspect smeared spice on the victim's face in an attempt to steal his bag. As always, I'll link this, but if you read through the story, it seems like it's one of the guy's workers. He's some kind of president of a staffing company, and one of the guys worked there. And not to be racist, but an Indian man rubbing curry spices. Kind of makes sense, right? I mean, how how hard is that, right? How hard is that to figure out? Hey, these are spicy. Let's rub them on somebody's eyes, face, and rob them. Well, didn't go very well. I'm gonna link this. I found this funny. This is just like this is how stupid our world's becoming. This is just crazy. I know I did an album, but I still do want to give you a song of the day. It's just one album. It's not too crazy. Piero Giovanni. I don't remember if I spoke about him, but ever since he came back a few years back, he left for a little while, and I actually never looked into why. I think he was just taking a hiatus, as far as I know. But ever since he's come back, a few years back, maybe 3 years at this point, I'm old, bad with time. And I see he's got something new here, so I'm excited about that. But ever since he's came back, he has been on point. Solid lyricist. The beats always go very well with what he's kicking. I like this song. I think you guys should check it out. I will post it. But yeah, as always, give me some feedback. Let me know what you think. I do appreciate everybody watching. I do appreciate you guys staying and continuing to support me. I know I keep saying I'm going to try to do more and more videos. It's basically been one a week recently. I am trying, guys. But again, I do appreciate the support, the continued support. Like, subscribe, share. You know what they say. Let's get to 50.